Welcome back, rail fans, to update number 4, part 2, painting, or otherwise known as getting rid of this really disgusting pink foam. This will be kind of a quick update. I'll be using a lot of time lapse. Anyways, as you can see here, I'm trying to kind of get this paint to be a bit more dark, although it seems to be a rather futile attempt. I keep adding in more darker and darker brown, and it doesn't really seem to be changing very much. One of the techniques I like to do when painting the baseboards is to just kind of get the paint out on the palette, drop in some other colors, and not really mix it very well. It gives you some kind of good variation in the coloring. The other thing you're going to run into is most of this isn't going to be seen, so kind of what I'm doing here is just a lot of overkill. However, if any of the scenery ever chips up or I miss a spot, it's not going to be as noticeable. You can cover this with all the ground foam you want, and sometimes you'll get the complete coverage. Other times you'll have little white spots showing through. So it's best to just paint it, make it look nice, but you don't have to do a whole lot of fretting about how it's going to look. Oop, I realize I'm out of frame here. Let me move the camera for you and give you a better view of what I'm painting. One thing I suggest you do is look at photos of the area you're trying to model and find kind of the best representation of the dirt that you can. As you can see over in the side there, I have a photo and I got it relatively close to what the dirt itself looks like. In different parts of Kentucky and Appalachia, it can either be really, really dark or really, really light and red. I just kind of found something from one of the coal fields that I'm trying to model and went for the best approximation. Like I said, it doesn't matter too much, but if you start out with this good base, it makes it easier for your modeling in the end. So we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of fast forwarding here while I get this whole section covered up in paint. So now that I have most of the base coat on, I come back in with a finer brush and kind of just punch the paint into the rockwork itself. You want to get it right up against it, but not covering it, because if you're going to use washes to paint the rock, any paint that's already on there will make it a little bit harder, or the color will come out a bit differently. One thing you can do if you run into that problem where you get some of the brown paint on where the rocks are going to be gray, you can always take a darker version of that paint and just cover it up. So now that I have the base coat cut into the rocks, we're going to move on to painting the rest of the coal area here. I realize I'm going to cover up a lot of the Sharpie that I have down, but I have good photos of all of this, and also the Sharpie kind of pushed into the foam a little bit, so there's a good outline. Then I kind of realized that it's not marking as well as I want, so I'm just going to cut out a hole kind of where I want the stack tube to be, or that general area. Since this is where the coal is going, I kind of want the paint here to be a little bit darker, and I realized this is going pretty slow, so I just ended up pouring a bunch of the paint on and spreading it around with the brush like, you know, frosting a cake or something like that. So unfortunately I didn't get a lot of this on film. My phone was giving me issues with recording, but you're seeing the finished product here, or the painted product anyways. And until next time, Boulder Creek Yard out.